Thank you for joining me. I'm Kimberly Rogers, and you're listening to Lecha for Shabbat from Friday, October 15th at sundown to Saturday, October 16th at sundown. This teaching is brought to you by themessianicmessage.com. I hope you enjoy this message. Right after the Tower of Babel incident, we get a list of begats. God wants us to know the foundation for the rest of the story. The begats lead us to two people whose names are Abram and Sarai. God asked Abram to leave Babylon. So Abram left Babylon, the city of Ur, which was a city of Babylon where the tower was. See, God removed the sinners from the tower area, and there were still people left there because they spoke the same language, the original language. But, of course, the propensity or the pattern of man is always to sin and sin and sin. That means to disobey Torah, disobey Torah, disobey Torah. So God called Adam out of there. And the Lord told Abram He would give Canaan to him. But first, there would have to be a stop in Egypt because of a famine. God always makes us partners in His plans. Noah had to actually build the ark. Abraham had to actually get up and move. One of the worst doctrines is that God will do it all for you. This does nothing but foster laziness and disobedience. Building that ark was back-breaking work, and moving from Ur to Canaan, then on to Egypt, would have also been a hardship. God's pattern is that He always makes us partners in His plan for our lives. Unless we're willing to do the work, the plan can't be completed. You know, the CEO of a company doesn't do the work. He directs the work and provides the funds and equipment to get it done. But the employee does the work. And if the employee doesn't do the work, the deadline is missed and the company goes down the tubes. We must always know what our job is. Did you know that right now you're working for and on behalf of God's kingdom? Yes, that's right. God is going to build His kingdom on earth, and He needs us to help Him by doing what He tells us personally to do, as well as what He tells us in the Torah. Right now, we're just waiting for Him to clear the land where His house will be built. But even before a house is built, there's lots of work to do. There are people to talk to, purchases to be made, equipment to buy or lease, materials to make. If we're going to lease out a part of the building that we're planning on building, then we have to make those arrangements and take care of those legalities so that when the building is ready, the people who want to rent it can move in. There's work to do before the materials actually go up and start making the building, or in this case, the kingdom. So as Israelites, we are already part of God's kingdom. We're just getting everything ready for when it's time to actually build it up in Jerusalem. Our jobs right now is to work doing the tasks that God tells us, like going to talk with people, supporting others with time or money, even perhaps ministries, laying up treasures for ourselves that will become skills in the kingdom that will in turn be used for the good of the kingdom, etc. We are already partners with God for the good of His kingdom that we will be blessed to live in when it gets set up. that was the job of Abram too, to do the task God gave him. And the first task was to move out of Babylon. Now, where else have we heard that? Oh yeah. Come out of her, O my people. Do you suppose we're getting ready to take a journey to a new land, just like Abram did? And did you notice that God called Abram, but Abram brought others with him, like Noah? You see, we will have this opportunity too. And perhaps this is our number one job, to go about bringing others with us. In this Torah portion, lech, lecha, Abram did what God told him, and he was blessed with wealth. But this wealth caused trouble between him and Lot, the nephew he brought with him. So Abram gave Lot the land that Lot thought he wanted. But still there was trouble. Lot was taken captive, and Abraham had to go to war to get him back. You see, this illustrates that when we're doing what God wants, it doesn't always go smoothly. Sometimes other people, especially unrighteous people who are, by default, sinful and rebellious, cause trouble for us. What can we do about it? Nothing. We just keep going because we know God has given us a specific job to do. We just stay focused on our job because it is for the good of God's kingdom. But the reward for our perseverance always comes, just like it did for Abram. In chapter 15, he gets the blessing of the covenant. Number 1, he was told he would have an heir. Number 2, his descendants would be greater in number than the stars in the heavens. Number 3, he would get the land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, and the land of the Kenites and the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaims, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites would all belong to him. And number 4, the sacrificial covenant was made that sealed the deal, because Abraham asked how he would know that his inheritance was real. God will always show us that we're on the right track. You see, God has a communication pattern. It starts with knowing that what He tells you, you can bank on. The other part of His communication pattern is that He always communicates with us. And along the way, He gives us signs and confirmations that we're doing what He wants us to and that we're headed in the right direction. God changed Abram's name to Abraham in commemoration of the covenant that was being given to him and his descendants. The first 4 parts of the covenant were easy, but the last part was difficult. Remember, it is God's pattern to always require something from us. The last part of the covenant came quite a while after God walked through the sacrifices Himself on behalf of Himself and Abraham. You see, God doesn't always tell us everything up front, does He? Eventually, He will come to you and tell you what He wants you to do. In this case, for Abraham was going to have to circumcise himself and his household males. Ouch! That was the thing that sealed the Abrahamic covenant, the willingness to be circumcised, the willingness to lay our flesh on the line in the course of our walk with God is what seals us into the Abrahamic covenant. And I'm not talking about mere circumcision of the flesh, but that of the heart, with the entirety of our flesh to be flayed open and sacrificed for the sake of our God. That's the kind of circumcision I'm talking about. True circumcision, that of the heart, results in us being sealed into God's covenant with Abraham, thus sealing our fate for the future kingdom. And it means that we offer our flesh entirely. That was the meaning of Abraham's circumcision. He was willing to do anything to please his God. That is why it is said that if we are Messiahs, we are Abraham's seed, because we are also willing to do anything for our God, no matter how old we are, and no matter when He asks, and no matter what He asks. Remember, Abraham was 99 years old when he sacrificed his flesh. Shalom.